Hey there, posture guys and gals. Justin Archer here, aka the Posture Guy, your #1 source on pain, posture, and performance. Coming to you live today from the little square down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Hey there, hi mom. Um, but all kidding aside, obviously this is kind of different than I usually do these video posts, and that's because as you can see from what's on the screen here, is perfect posture possible? It's a lot of P's in there. Actually, let me say the whole thing here just to set I think a YouTube record of how many P words in one sentence. The Posture Guy, your #1 source on pain, posture, and performance, is perfect posture possible. There you have it, 6 P words, and I don't know what that was, 15 seconds. But anyway, this is going to be kind of a follow-up to Monday's post, which is, what condition is your posture in? Because as people start to learn to evaluate their posture and other people's postures, they become a lot more attentive people watchers. They notice different things. Oh, that person's foot turns out, or that shoulder's higher, or various things like that. And people then come to me and ask, well, Justin, is there really any such thing as perfect posture? Is it even attainable? And the answer is yes. But the main thing I want you to keep in mind here is that perfect posture, or just posture in of itself, good, bad, whatever, we're all works in progress. So if you looked at pictures of me back when I was, around 20, I was a mess. Shoulder higher than the other, upper body was rotated one way, lower body was rotated the other, knees and feet turned out, knees bent, all that. Now, I've been working on my own posture for years and years now, and there's times where I have been spot on perfect posture, and there's times when I haven't. Even today, I'm not perfect. See if you can point out what it is. But I'm constantly working on it, and I just try to improve on the day before. Mostly so, I don't hurt, but also so that I can, because I don't think health and wellness is really, the definition of health and wellness isn't the absence of pain, but the absence of limitations. So that's what I want. I want a life not just without pain. I mean, some people may be happy with just that, but I want a life without limitations, and that's what you should want for yourself as well. Don't just settle for pain-free. You don't want to be, oh, my knee doesn't hurt unless I run. No, you should be able to go run for 1 mile, 2 mile, 20 miles, a marathon, whatever, and not have your knees hurt, assuming you're in proper postural alignment. All right? So, we went over the 3 conditions in Monday's post, but I want to do a little bit of a review before we go on to what perfect posture is. How do you get there? What do you do, once you get there, and how to maintain it and such. Okay? So we're going to go on to the second slide, and obviously I chose kind of a slideshow type of post of showing you this because I think it was just the best way to show you visually. So, we have the condition 1, which we kind of went over in the last post, but here's a good visual. This guy is a classic condition 1. All right, so we'll start from the ground up. Knees and feet are pointed out are roughly around 45 degrees. It doesn't have to be 45 degrees, but they're just turned out, okay? You can see there's a slight bend in the knees, like so. And the most important part, which makes a condition 1 posture, is this anterior tilt, where the front of the waistline or belt line is lower than the back, okay? And then that basically throws the spine out of whack. You can see where this guy's totally lost that natural S curvature of his spine, and now it's turned into a solid C shape. And because of that solid C shape, several other things happen. His upper back gets all bound up really tight. That rolls his shoulders forward. So you can see here, you can see the whole back of his hands. Ideally, you should see, I'm sitting down, it's kind of weird to show this, but you should be able to see just the thumb and forefinger, not the whole back of the hands. And since his upper back is rounded forward, that also pushes his head forward. So if you want to learn more about the symptoms and everything that condition 1 experience, I'll put a link down below this one so you can go back to last week's post and learn all about that. But moving on, condition 2. Now, condition 2 is very different than condition 1 and 3 in that you have to have some asymmetry present in your body to be considered a condition 2. So, and you can see this gentleman here has lots of asymmetries. He's got one shoulder higher than the other. You can see from the front and back. One hip higher than the other. You can look at his shoulders. Now his is more obvious. Sometimes it's not as obvious. And you can actually see another place to check is look at the hands. Look how this hand hangs much higher than this hand here. If you also look at his feet, the last guy, his knees and feet were turned out, but they were turned out roughly at the same angle. This one is almost pointing straight ahead. This one's turned out at roughly 45 degrees. The other thing, and I put these little cues here, these lines and these arrows to kind of help you see this, is he has a lot of rotation present. If you look at his left side and his right side, look how very little of his back you can see. Now look at his left side, see how much more of his back you can see? That's because his left torso and his left hip are rotated forward. So that's an asymmetry as well. So in condition 2 people, there's going to be some asymmetries left to right and or some rotation present. So if you have any of these traits right here that we just showed, as well as, I'm sorry, I forgot this one here, this offset, this lateral lean. Some people may call it a scoliosis. It's just a lateral shift of this torso and or spine. So if you have any of those traits, you're immediately considered a condition 2. So you want to go to the condition 2 routine and do that until all the asymmetries are out of your body, and then move on to either condition 1 or 3, depending on which traits your posture has. So that's condition 2. Moving on, condition 3. Now you can see a lot of similarities. Actually, between condition 3 and condition 1, they're all the postural traits are very similar, with the exception of one very important one. So again, you have the knees and the feet pointed out at 45 degrees. The shoulders are rounded forward. You can see the back of the hands. Now, condition 3 sometimes have bent knees. This gentleman actually, and we're seeing this more and more as time goes on, is really almost like hyperextended. You can see his hips are bailed forward, like he's going to fall forward from, I'd say the hips to the ankles. And then to save himself, his upper body goes and kind of leans back. But then so he doesn't fall on his back, his head and neck go way forward, putting definitely a lot of stress there on his neck and his upper back. So it's kind of like a stack of dishes. He's falling forward, he's falling back, and he's falling forward. But that's how this gentleman finds his balance. And right in the middle of it is the number 1 trait that makes condition 3 a condition 3, and that is a posterior pelvic tilt, where the front of the waistline or belt line is higher than the back. So let's go back to condition 1, and you'll see the exact opposite. Here it's tilted forward, okay? And here it's tilted back. And both of them have the head forward. So that's condition 1, 2, and 3. If you fall into one of those categories, and most people do, and most people it's usually a condition 2, 1 or 2, 3. So most people have asymmetries just because we're left or right-handed. They play some type of sports. So start with condition 2 routine if you have any asymmetries. Then once that rotation or the disparities are gone left to right, then go ahead and move on to condition 1 or 3 depending on that pelvic tilt, whether you're anterior like condition 1 or posterior like condition 3. But let's say you've been working on that for some time and you are, I don't want to say lucky enough, because although it's simple to get there, how to do it is easy. Being able to take responsibility for your health and being able to consistently do your exercise day in and day out to get to perfect posture is by no means an easy feat. So if you have perfect posture, congratulations. In this day and age, with all the sitting we do, sitting at a computer, driving, et cetera, eating breakfast, it's very hard to have perfect posture. But it is definitely possible. I've been there before, been there and back several times. So, here's perfect posture. And like it says down here at the bottom, this is your blueprint. And I'm actually going to make this PDF, this 5-page PDF slideshow, available on a link down below this video. So you can actually print this up, put it on your, I was going to say your mailbox, not your mailbox, your fridge. Put it on your fridge, put it in a mirror, and have something to strive forward to. And what we're looking for is, in perfect posture, from the front and back, your shoulders, hips, knees, and ankles should be vertically stacked. Your knees and feet should point straight ahead. So when you stand with your feet straight, you want them 12 o'clock, point straight ahead. It may feel like a little pigeon-toed. Trust me, it's not. And you want to measure by the outside of your foot, not the inside of the foot. Because the outside of the foot, the bony structure is a nice straight line. The inside, there's a lot of muscle tissue and fascia, and it'd be like trying to measure a straight line with a wet noodle. It's just not a good idea. So use the outside edges of your feet. Also, the shoulders should be in a position so that, again, you can see, I mentioned earlier, you should be able to see just the thumb and the forefinger. And obviously you can see here, this guy has no lateral tilt in his upper body, and his head sits evenly over his shoulders, both from the front and back and from the side. And look, go into the side view here. Your ears should line up right over your shoulders, shoulders over hips, hips over knees, knees over ankles. Nice and straight up and down, all right? Just stacked like a lot of Jenga bricks, I guess. And last but certainly not least, if you're symmetrical left to right, front to back, also a little side note, when you talk about balance left to right, that's the term balance. When you talk of terms of balance front to back, that's dynamic tension. So if you actually caught, I think it was on the 8 laws of physical health, it was one of the first posts I did, I talked about that. So you need that balance left to right and that dynamic tension front to back in order to have the proper S curvature in the spine. So there should be a lordotic or inward curve here in your lower back, a kyphotic, I guess not inward, outward curve in your upper back, and another lordotic curve, inward curve of your neck area. Okay. Now there are too much lordosis, or I'm saying lordotic curvatures. For instance, condition 1, that would be too much arch and lower back, and condition 3 would definitely be not enough. And in the lower back, you can see it's just flat like an ironing board. And his upper back here, definitely way too kyphotic. It should be rounded, but not that rounded, okay? So like I said, post these up and kind of use these as inspiration. So like I said, let's assume that you've been working your posture for a few weeks or a few months, and you've gotten to this point. And usually when people are kind of, I guess maybe a proper term would say rehabbing their posture, it takes a certain commitment of time and energy to do so. But the more you do it, the less time and energy you'll have to spend on it. So when I first came to posture alignment therapy, I was spending an hour and a half every day for the first 3 months doing exercises. But once I got that perfect posture, I was like, well, I can't keep doing an hour and a half of this day in and day out. I just don't have that kind of time to devote to this. So what I started doing is little by little lessening the time to an hour 15, an hour, 45 minutes, half an hour. And what I learned is that when I have perfect posture, I can usually get away with doing about 15 to 20, sometimes 30, but usually about 15 to 20 minutes a day to keep it there. So what I've also done is, down below this video, is put together a perfect posture maintenance routine that you can do that'll take your body through a good full range of motion, all your joints, shoulders, hips, knees, ankles, etc., to make sure that it lessens the time you spend doing the exercises, which then will allow you to, go play and do other activities, whether it's working out at the gym, playing baseball, basketball, golf, whatever your fun physical activity happens to be. All right? So that's perfect posture. There's your blueprint. Like I said, print it up, put it on the fridge, the mirror, wherever you're going to see it every day, and just strive for that, okay? And if for whatever reason you don't see it right away, don't get discouraged, because like I said earlier on, we're all works in progress. I'm currently working on it right now, as is, all my other clients. So, stay positive, and if you need any help, feel free to give me a call, all right? Anyways, thanks for joining me inside this video, and I look forward to seeing you inside the next one. Until then, take care and keep moving.